Hi guys, and welcome to part 2 of module reveal. This time we will be looking at modules for caster, Vanguard, defender and supporter for 6-star operators. I will be using the same review system as last time, and I recommend you to watch part 1 first if you haven't already. So let's get started. For casters, we are starting off with Passenger X. This one puts emphasis on control and optimizes his skill cycling. In my opinion, Passenger, especially with skill 3, has good damage potential. People were mainly criticizing on that 30 SP requirement, which with level 3 module can be effectively cut down to 24 SP if you don't get enemies near his 4 tiles. The base module also gives him good crowd control, therefore I recommend at least level 1, and if you use him as your main arts DPS, it's absolutely fine to go for level 3. For Passenger Y, although it's damage oriented, but it does have that limitation on the target's HP, so the damage buff coverage is slightly less than Module X's SP regen coverage. However, it does work with his skill 2 better because he can dish out more attacks within the 4-second damage buff window, and some people use it as a strat in the stationary security service mode. Personally, I rate it a bit lower as skill 3 is the main choice for many, but overall both of Passenger's modules are pretty good. Next we have Dusk X. This is an extremely underwhelming one. The best value still lies in the base effect, which gives her the same attack range as core casters. The upgrades gives her additional stacks that most of the time she can't fully make use of anyway, and they decided to only give her one additional stack from level 2 to level 3. I would say this one is close to disastrous, but if you use the skill 1 as the second ignition skill, it's fine to do level 1. The other 6-star splash caster, however, Mostima Y, has quite an incredible module upgrade. The base effect cuts down a DP, and the upgrade gives her insane buff to the slow talent, and it works with her skill 3 to create the strongest slow in the game. And that may come to play when stop or bind effects doesn't work. But while this is a very decent module, there are problems on Mostima that this module just can't solve, and that is the absurdly huge SP requirement for her skills. Mostima is designed as a control splash caster, but her skills takes forever to recharge, so her talents remains the most effective control. That's why she still doesn't get great improvement from this module. It does make her a very cool and unique operator though, and I think that justifies the reason to try this module level 3 if you're interested. Next, we have Ebenholz X. This module is a further strengthening of his key functionality, which is Elite and Boss Killer. With maximum 5 attacks stored, he could do nuke damage to many key targets, but that in many situations is just a one-time thing, because once he starts picking up enemies, that extra charge becomes irrelevant. And same goes for the upgrade, which is only a 5 to 8% buff to the stored attack. He's just too dependent upon enemy flow and without good means to control the attack store tempo. When you can't properly store attacks, what's the use of extra stores and store damage, right? So overall, this module is not recommended, especially the upgrades. And then we have his other module, Ebenholz Y. On the other hand, this makes compensation to his other talent, which doesn't get triggered like half of the time. Now it can trigger either as additional damage or as AoE damage, which is good because of the high attack nature of Mystic casters. It does decent splash damage. The base effect also makes him able to store attack faster, and after he gets the elite exclusive attack stored, he could enjoy a constant attack speed boost against normal enemies. The base effect along with the upgrade actually works together really well. Most importantly, makes the talent no longer seem like a half-done thing, and it opens up a new legit way for him to make some impact. But if you mainly uses his skill 2, keep it at level 1 for the fast storing, as skill 2 doesn't enjoy this talent at all. So other than that, I think it's worth getting level 2 or higher. Next, we have the only 6-star Vanguard that has a module, and it's Bagpipe X. We all know how good she is, and the base effect basically doubles her efficiency to recover DP as a charger. The upgrade is an effect that only works on herself, which allows her with potential 5 or higher to drop in with full stacks on skill 2 or skill 3 that only takes 3 seconds to activate. This is good for her as a charger and especially crucial for hardcore runs. You can notice how I did not have high ranking on her own improvement because with or without this module she is still a very strong operator that people can bring even without deploying her. So for the majority of players, I think that level 1 is a must-have, while the upgrade is a pretty meta, but optional choice. Coming into the defenders, we have Eunectes X. This module allows her to slowly regen SP even when not blocking enemies, and the upgrade almost tripled the original boost when blocking. It is without doubt a great improvement to her daily use, especially for the fact that she can now gain SP from external sources like Ling, Warfarin, Saria, etc. Whether the upgrade is worth it depends on how often you use her. If you are not a regular user, I think level 1 for the base effect is a great improvement. For Eunectes Y, the base effect, although no longer lets her self-regen SP like X did, is still open to external sources, which is a welcome decision. This module actually has a better match for skill 1 and 2, and it aims to provide Eunectes additional survivability and damage in even more extreme conditions. The problem here is many players don't choose Eunectes in these extreme situations. For them, more attack actually means that she will kill her blocked target faster, which in turn make her harder to regen SP. This module is good in Defender Knights, but for standard players, I would say this is less recommended than the other module. Next we have Saria X, and this module is surprisingly very good. The base effect makes her skill 1 even stronger as they both apply to targets below half health, but the level 2 effect is on a different level. It straight up, on paper, doubles the efficiency of SP charging, making her a viable multi-target battery, especially with skill 3. Working as both healing and SP station that can be used in any situations almost makes this module one of the most worthy, and I definitely recommend level 2. For level 3, I think right now the Rhine Lab operators don't actually benefit that much from SP charging, so I will leave that to the future. Next we have our other Guardian, Blemishine Y. The base effect is a damage reduction much like the Gladia talent, which is pretty good considering her skills often require her to take damage. However, the upgrade is kinda underwhelming. Yes, there are a lot of Casimir's operators, but you don't really expect to deploy and redeploy them all the time just to cycle Blemishine skill. While you can practically do it with Gravel, I think her skills in themselves actually have good cycling already. I think they designed this so it's easier to achieve a sleep control chain with other operators, which is a little niche. So I recommend level 1 only. Then we have the OG protectors, and before we get into Hoshiguma and Nian, I want to state the fact that as players progress through the game, they get less and less reliant on pure blocking. In the beginning, protectors and splashcasters are good because one will do the blocking, the other will do the killing. But as you get to E2 and get more operators, you'll have access to more and more means that can kill enemies without even blocking them, or operators who can kill enemies as they are blocking them. Therefore, the advantages for protectors are either in the early stages or hardcore situations where they are the only choice for tanking damage. That's why even when the protectors have modules that are of good quality, it may still seem a little underwhelming to some of you, and I think that's something we need to recognize before we talk about these modules. Starting off with Hoshiguma, Block 4 is a good base effect, more standard blocking, and a solution to more potential enemies that require Block 4. The upgrade basically allows her to mitigate 1/3 of her received damage, and the attack boost works along with skill 2 and 3 well. I think she can still be a solid block choice in daily clears from time to time, and worth getting level 1 done for that. Whether or not to go for the upgrades depends on how often you pick her in the 12-man team. Nian, on the other hand, is a less common daily pick for many. However, with the upgrades, she becomes the toughest protector at skill downtime. The SP also helps her to activate her skill faster, as there was a 15 SP gap before, which can now be cut down to 6. Unlike Hoshiguma, Nian's kit design makes her a strong tanker in high CC risks, and I don't know if you guys know it or not, but she's been in the top risk roster for 5 CCs already. For hardcore players, this module I think will be a must pick. For normal players, I think it's completely up to how often you use her really. And we are finally into the supporters, starting with Angelina Y. This module is not a good choice, as her skill 2 doesn't need additional slow time, and the fact that X module base effect is just obviously the better choice for her. The upgrade to the HP recovery talent is just not worth the cost. I think investing in Perfumer module might be a more economical choice. Overall, not recommended. Next, we have Suzuran X. It has a great base effect that can stack with her own skill aura. If there's always enemies within the attack range, her 70 SP skill can recover within 44 seconds. The upgrade is less necessary, as it's really not that common to have more than 2 supporters in a team, so I think level 1 would be good enough for her. Next, we have the summoners, and before we start though, I want to preface that summoners cater to a certain player base on their own. For people who play summoners, almost all of these modules have great improvement to the characters and are indispensable, especially in solo clears. For players who don't play summoners, however, this module most likely wouldn't make them play them anyway. So this is the nature of this class, and it's something we need to recognize as well. Therefore, the recommended level and priorities here are quite arbitrary. It depends on your own play style. Starting off with Magallan X, the base effect is not that impactful if you mainly use them for solo, duo or trios, because there will be enough deployment slots anyway. The level 2 effect, with Magallan herself enjoying the invis though, is immense for her. It provides her with survivability, especially against AoE damage, and that is the biggest advantage she has over Ling. Level 2 for the invis, but I think definitely level 3 if you know how to use her. Magallan Y on the other hand has less of a use scenario because, well, I hate to do direct comparisons, but it's not as handy as Ling. There are just less situations that require 4 drones from her instead of 4 dragons from Ling. The module indeed provides her with backup drones, as she cannot recover drones on herself, but other than that, this module is not as strong as Ling's module improvement and not as crucial as the other module for herself. To close things off, we have Ling Y. In my opinion, the base effect is a must-have as it drastically cuts down her summons cost. Especially for skill 3, 23 DP and 18 is just too much of a difference. More dragons are also good, especially for skill 2, where she cannot recover summons other than recycling them. The upgrade also means a lot to her, again, especially for skill 3, where she can now have 3 big dragons on the field at the same time. It is an insane boost to her solo capability. Whether you are used to using her or not, this module is still a massive boost that improves her in every way. That's all for the current 6-star modules. I hope you enjoyed and potentially find it useful for planning ahead. I still need to consider how to do the 4 stars and 5-star recommendations, as there are too many of them and that I may need to pick some notable ones. But that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.